Hello and welcome to another installment of the FC Mad Podcast. My name's Ryan Lee, alongside Emmanuel Lahoud, John Baquero. We're all here for another great week of footy from around the world. And guys, whole lot going on in the footy realm. A lot of fun, first and foremost. But first, before we get there, how you guys been? Emmanuel, you were recently up in Brooklyn covering some USL Championship. John, your first game's coming up. How's the Habs of late?
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn was definitely interesting. It was definitely a different vibe from the Charlotte soccer scene. So, yeah, it was a fun trip. I had a lot of fun. What about you, John?
Well, tell us a little bit more. What was the highlight of your trip?
Highlight of my trip was probably getting a milkshake from Nathan's, even though I didn't get a hot dog.
Hey, fair
That's the
enough.
sad part.
If that makes you happy, what can we say? But yeah, I'm super excited. Finally done with preseason, going into game week. First game in Westchester, Saturday, 7 p.m. Tune in. Really excited to get the season started and get going.
So, as you know, where a lot of talk has been around the US soccer scene, a lot of it good, a lot of it bad, but we can kind of get started with probably the biggest of the headlines that came out very recently. We're filming this on Tuesday, the 10th, but this came out, I believe, last night, which is gambling and the issues that have come with it. And we have another pair of lifetime bans for the first time that I've noticed coming from the MLS side of things. We've seen a lot of the headlines come from the NBA, the MLB, but this is probably the first instance I've seen it in soccer, especially here in the US, now that Derrick Jones and Yeboah have received lifetime suspensions for gambling. It's been a more prevalent thing over the last little bit, but I'm very curious to see what you guys think of this scandal, the gambling issues now kind of creeping its way into the soccer landscape, especially with what's been on the horizon with the World Cup and the Olympics coming here. How this gambling issue has kind of come into the light and kind of made its way into soccer.
I really think they're using this as an example with the lifetime ban because, I mean, we saw it before with his name was Felipe Hernandez. And, he was given a couple of opportunities, to get his case straight. So they definitely want to make a case out of this as the sport continues to grow in the US, just to make sure that, we don't have instances like this where potential rigging, is a possibility because of this gambling situation with players.
Yeah, it's something no one likes to see. We all love the sport, we all love the game, and we want it to be fair. And I feel like when things like this happen, I can get why people can question certain things. And I know there was even situation with Paqueta in the Premier League, people saying, he might have been involved in a similar situation. But as players, before the season, we have to go through courses, we have to watch videos, we have to do those things where we're informed of what the consequences are if you don't follow the rules. And I think it's fair enough if you're gonna do it. I think the lifetime is fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you need to make sure you can protect the sport and we don't end up having a WWE situation where the outcome is already predetermined, right?
I think some of the more interesting part is actually what's been revealed out there and how it relates to other examples across other sports. I know this is a thing I tend to do a lot, but it gives a lot of context as to what happened, why the response is the way it is, and kind of the aftermath, right? So one of the key pieces in the statements of MLS and what's been reported out there is one of the two parties involved, Derrick Jones. Both Yeboah and Jones were part of the crew at some point. One of the weird things that he did is there was a prop bet out there, supposedly, or it's been reported out there that there was a bet made that he would get a yellow card, Derrick Jones, and he did end up getting one, which is in essence rigging the game. We have seen this before in the NBA. Jonte Porter, a recent example. He would fake illness, fake injuries, hit unders on his prop bets, and would make winnings other ways. Pete Rose is another one in baseball. That one's different. He bet on them to win, but it did affect his legacy as a Hall of Fame player. And we've gotten to this point where betting is so prevalent, it's so out there, online, in person, whatever, that the question to me is like, how many people are out there doing this potentially undetected? Burner accounts, other phones, doing it through a third party, like someone doing it in your behalf, basically. How many more instances of this are we going to keep seeing? Because it's happening so often across other sports. And this is only the first instance that we've seen, at least in this recent, decade or so in the MLS. How much more is going to come out in due time? I don't know if you guys have any experience with it, but from what you guys potentially know, I don't know what you guys' thoughts are.
Yeah, I think the situation of all of these betting and gambling apps also becoming very involved with the leagues, especially we see it in a lot of South American countries, Mexico, for example, and we are seeing it in European soccer. I feel like that doesn't really help the situation with players and betting. Although they're a sponsor, they may not be actively working towards like banning certain things. I think there's still like 15 gambling apps that allow the yellow card, red card situation to be a wager. And I mean, Don did speak about this. He said that he's working closely to try to get rid of that so that we don't have situations like Derrick Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't bet. I don't like gambling, so I think it's really interesting to see the real issue is how addicted people are because we talk about soccer, but also football, you know, basketball, baseball, all these sports. I feel like once you get started, from what I hear, it's like you can't stop betting on whatever because you're just addicted to the game and that feeling you have of winning, you know. So yeah, I mean, obviously I think I see the value and how people like it, but for a player, there's zero chance. You can't be involved in it because at that point, it just affects the whole competition, the fairness of everything.
Kind of goes into another example that I listed earlier, which was, um, the Pete Rose incident, which I don't know how well you guys are well versed in baseball, but very simply put, Pete Rose did bet on the Reds to win at the time that he did. And even though he didn't get the consequences at the time, the MLB did so pretty much once he was done playing. And it kind of affected his legacy because when he passed not that long ago, I want to say a year or two ago, everyone just talked about, hey, we need to talk about how great he was as a player, but you cannot wash away the stain of the legacy that was the gambling issue in the first place. Like not just how much just affected them in their possibility ability to even play down the line if they'll even get a chance ever again. Like that's one of the things that probably is, aside from the ban from the MLS, there's a chance that these guys might never get to play again. If you no longer play in the MLS, you get a chance in the USL or leagues otherwise. But this is a opportunity for not just the MLS, but all soccer leagues, commissioners, so on and so forth, to basically say this is not going to stand. And down the line, if these guys, if this is the end of their career, that kind of puts a line in the sand that says this is not going to stand. We're not going to do this anymore, not just in the MLS perspective, but the world soccer perspective too. That you're essentially barred from all playing, period.
Yeah, you brought up the USL, which is also a league that's going through a situation right now. Some games were played this weekend, and we saw every team protest. John, how's it? How's that? How are you guys living that moment right now?
Well, yeah, it's a situation that all the USL Championship players are living, but being in League One is something that we're paying close attention, and we've been talking about it since I think the beginning of the podcast. But the negotiations with the league for a new CBA feels like they're not really moving forward. The league came out with a couple of statements trying to quote unquote frame the players and make them look bad, and I'm in full support with the players. Like we've talked about, we want to be compensated and have fair treatment. So hopefully the situation gets solved here before there's a strike. I think the players already agreed to the possibility of striking. And as negotiation keep going and tension rises, just hope that they can agree on something fair for the players.
Yeah, and I was reading, this one's for either one of you that want to answer this, but I was reading that one of the main things they want to do is separate the health insurance from, what is it, the negotiations. They want the players to have their own individual policy from what the other employees of the league have. Can you explain that a little bit for those of us that may be a little confused on it?
Well, I think what they're trying to negotiate, and I think the league actually agreed to providing medical insurance for all the players, which was something that was not uh, involved in the other CBA. But the thing is, there's negotiations on what the total compensation is, and they want the medical insurance to be something different to what the total compensation is, so not included in the total compensation.
Why is that the case? How does that affect you guys as players, right? And how would that benefit, you know, the league?
Well, right now, a lot of the clubs do not offer medical insurance. So you are working for a company that is offering medical insurance to people in ticket sales, to people in the front office, but you're not offering medical insurance to your players. And just to be clear, you are covered if there's an injury while you play, but if you're sick, you can't go to the doctor because, you'll have to pay for your own medical insurance outside of the field.
Yeah, so basically, if you need glasses or like got to go to the dentist or anything like that, that's not covered.
Exactly.
Cool, that clears it up. Brian, what have you been hearing on your side?
Um, what's out there is what's out there. And I'm actually speaking with one of our broadcasters about some of the new changes that this can entail, how the players really approach this, which I think was one of the more mature and professional ways of handling it. You could have had a CBA strike, you could have had a lockout, which was a potential, but it kind of felt to me that for the sake of the fans, for the sake of the players, for the sake of perception also, that the minute long pause in the game to start every single game was about as loud as you can have without actually stopping play, without actually having a strike. You could see people in the crowd chanting, holding up signs, "We support the players." We want to be there for the players. CBA now. There were signs, chants all around the entire USL Championship, all about this. So it's very clear that part of the players' plan, at least in my perspective, is they want the fans to see this. They want this to be shown in stadium to make a statement, but also still have the play there. Because at the end of the day, the players are doing this for themselves or love of the sport, as well as the fans of their respective clubs. And the way I see it, it was a very mature way of going about it. And there could have been much harsher, much worse, and also much worse looking ways to go about this. And I think a minute long pause is the least of your problems if you have to pick a route to go to, if you're the players and if you're the USL. But that's just my thoughts on it. I don't know what you guys have to say.
I think the players have done a great job to, showcase what their main objective is. And that is to be treated fairly. And I think, like Ryan said, the easiest thing would be to say, okay, we're going on strike. We're not playing this week, putting pressure on the league. But they're like, hey, we want a solution. We want to be fair. We want to be treated fairly. We want to be paid what we are worth. So props to the players, props to everyone out there who, is staying strong and fighting for the rights of players. I was in the league in 2018 when there was still $0 contracts. Guys would make $0 playing in the USL Championship. And, the league has come such a long way. And the bravery and all these players that we've been around for a while, we continue to try and help grow the league and leave the league in a better place for all those players that will be in it in the future.
I'm actually talking with one of our USL broadcasters later on, someone who is an ex-player in both League One and the Championship. about some of what's been happening and some of the overall approach that the players have taken. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you. Um, you called the first game of the year. There was a lot of uncertainty going in. Was there going to be a lockout? The players are authorizing a strike, so on and so forth. You've been there as a broadcaster and as a player, but what was the reaction and just kind of the thought going in your mind in that 1 minute or the minutes leading up to it of like, this is what the players are going to do. They want to do right by the fans by keep playing, but they do want to have some action by getting their message out there. What was kind of just the thought leading up into kickoff and the 1 minute throughout?
Well, number one, the players are together, right? Like that was the biggest message I think that everyone, soccer fan, not soccer fan, USL fan, not USL fan, can take that they were together, right? Every single player, every single game did it. So that's very obvious. But the biggest thing that I obviously took away, and I think the fans and some of the broadcasters, that the world is a better place when we're playing soccer, right? So the fans want it, the players want it, the league wants it, everyone wants it. And I don't know, obviously, the details of everything that's going on behind the scenes, but yeah, we like you and I love the game, and no one wins when there's no soccer.
And especially when you have so much of, the prevalence of what's on the horizon, right? Champions League is here, World Cup's coming up. It's going to be a fire fest in terms of just overall kind of buzz around US. And, you talk about what these players are going to do and how things are being handled. You have the other situation with the MLS that's gambling related. This one's kind of CBA related. And, there are much worse outcomes to happen, all things considered. The WNBA, they might not play this year, straight up, because their due date is today, the day we're filming this.
Bro,
And MLB is going to expire after.
Do it, man.
MLB is going to retire in 26. Theirs expires next year.
Oh my
This is
God.
the last season of their current agreement. And I'm wearing an NHL jersey again because my Sabres are on top of the division. But the NHL have had 2 lockouts since 2000.
Bro.
Ryan,
So,
it sounds like
this
you're
is
going
not
through it, man. You're
Ryan's just ranting, man. We're just
I'm
gonna let you rant. Just
This
keep
is
going.
this is not an uncommon thing. It's in all sports. And honestly, I am personally a little bit not fearful, but I am a little concerned about where this leaves the state of the USL after this week. Like, will they even play week 2, or was this a 1 week thing just to show face? That's a question that I do genuinely have. Is this just going to be every single week for 35 consecutive weeks? League One didn't partake in it because it doesn't affect them, at least from what the games that I covered. And it does make me concerned about the state of the USL going forward because it's hurt every other league that's gone through a lockout. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. I got a little up there, but I think a lot of in general, like it's a little concerning at the end of the day.
No, yeah, of course. And
Ryan, I feel like this stuff like keeps you up at night, man. I'm like worried about you.
Dude,
we need to do wellness checks on this, man.
I mean, it does affect my job, especially like down the line. I still want to be able to commentate games, guys. Like, I want to make sure those opportunities are available.
Yeah,
Ryan,
those opportunities are not going to be available. There's no games to begin with.
I want to have a league to play in too, man. So don't worry. I think it affects my job too.
Yeah, we're gonna see John on Sunday League, and then we're gonna see Ryan
Commentating
streaming,
Sunday League.
commentating on a stream on Twitch. But yeah, no, tough situation for U.S. sports. I mean, especially with everything you're saying, WNBA, MLB, everybody's going through it, and it's just concerning that like in the U.S. corporate system, like the players who are the most vital part of the product that they're selling tend to always be underserved, and it feels like this is the only country where it happens. Some positive news: U.S. soccer coach Matarazzo, yeah, with Real Sociedad making it into a cup final against Atletico Madrid. Yeah, let's talk about that. Do you guys have any connections there?
Well, no connection to him specifically, but my dad did play for Real Sociedad. That's where my dad is from, and it's like the second team that I follow in Spain. So it's great to see them make another final. They did win a Copa del Rey not too long ago against Athletic Bilbao, but it's really great to see an American coach really having a great time in Europe. He joined the team not too long ago, when they were not doing too great, and I think he's only had one loss, and that was Madrid, and then he also beat Barca, and now they're in the cup finals. So he's showing how good of a coach he is, and I think his success will hopefully open doors for other American coaches that you know could open the door for other American coaches. Because there's still a little bit of a situation where coaches, not American coaches, but coaches that have coached in MLS but have gone to Europe, maybe have struggled a little bit, like Wilfred Nancy now with Celtic, that I feel like he lasted like 4 weeks. So I think it's great to have some success for an American coach, and we'll hopefully give opportunities to other coaches in the future to coach in top teams in Europe. What do you think, Ryan?
You know, I'm glad that you mentioned the two names because I feel like this doesn't necessarily wash away, but it does swing the pendulum kind of back in favor of American coaches because of Nancy and Ramsey, who were formerly with the MLS and went to Europe right after, and they both got let go pretty quickly. They didn't really give either coach a lot of runway, and I could argue part of that there still is an internationally negative perception of U.S. soccer in a sense. They, our clubs aren't around for 100 years. They've only been around since 1996. Like, this is 31 years of the MLS. So I think there's still a little bit of that. We've been here longer. We know it longer. And Nancy and Ramsey got sacked because of it. But it's great to see that another American head coach can make its way through. It's a law of average. And I think that does help. And if hypothetically, I'm not saying or calling for anyone's job, but say Pochettino and this current World Cup team underperform, is he the next man to potentially take something? Or is he going to be in the coaching circle 5 years from now for Team USA or any other international team for that matter?
Speaking of coaching, we do have John who recently got his U.S. coaching certificate. Could you potentially be? Oh, sorry, be licensed. Could John potentially be on the way to maybe coaching the Real Sociedad one day?
So yeah, I just got my B license. So who knows? Maybe in the future you'll see me coaching Real Sociedad or coaching here in the U.S. I currently coach two teams for Independence, the U12s and U16s down in Matthews, and my players, especially U16s, love the podcast, and they always talk about how they want to be in the podcast. So maybe we'll have to do something with them.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I'll continue to grow as a coach, hopefully, and let's see where it takes me.
Yeah, Ryan, do you coach in it?
No, I haven't really dabbled in that.
Jeez.
I will say this. It takes a different mindset and build to coach. I've kind of did it a little bit when I was in high school and college, but I knew really quickly that was not my thing. Just the different personalities, having to be, pretty insightful, walking a fine line between critical coaching and just but not being too gentle also is one that I kind of really struggled with. So I think I'll keep my name out of the coaching ring, but maybe we could see but who knows, maybe in however many years from now, we can see John Pacaro on the sideline for the Charlotte Independents as manager.
I feel like,
Down the line.
Ryan, I feel like you could be a good motivational speaker. You could bring like all the data and all your knowledge to be a motivational speaker.
I can see it too.
I mean, there are so many head coaches that just came in my mind when you say that, but none of them are in soccer for some reason. Like, I just thought about Dan Campbell immediately.
MLB.
No, I just thought about Dan Campbell, like just
No idea
tough
who that is.
guy, Well, Detroit, if Detroit Lions, anyone who knows, tough guy, a little bit in the room, he'll get up there, he'll throw your F-bombs, but he's a motivator, he's a risk taker. He just goes for it. Like he's just an aggressive coach through and through. For some reason, if I had to pick my coaching style, like that'd be my best comparison. Like Dan Campbell of Detroit Lions. If anyone knows, you know.
Let's do it. Now bringing it back to Charlotte, Charlotte FC kind of turned it around. This game against Austin, we saw a different side of Charlotte that we probably hadn't since the end of last season. Did you guys get to watch that a little bit? I don't know if you've seen the clips or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it was a much needed win. I think Charlotte needs to really become strong at home. I feel like for any team, when you become strong at home and you can go on the road and get points here and there, that makes up for a good season. And I think Charlotte has had a little bit of a slow start with the loss and a tie, but getting that first home win will hopefully give them confidence. And, they have a good squad, good players, Pep Biel showing up, Zaha showing up. I think that's what they need. Their stars to really make an impact on the game.
And like I think there were a lot of small points. I don't want to say the two words I have to say, but on the analytical side of things.
What was you trying to say?
And the numerical side of things that really impressed me. 25 shot attempts to 5, 11 shots on goal to none. With near 75% possession for Charlotte. That is straight domination the entire way through. It helps that Austin got an early yellow card, so you're playing what? Over 60 minutes with 10v11. But some teams will take those opportunities and just squander them. They'll just do nothing with it. They'll get a red card and the scoreline will not move a lick. But Charlotte saw that and said, no, this is our time to go for it, to pounce, and to basically put Austin down. And they did so emphatically. And coming off of a loss, a draw, that's a huge statement win. I think I could argue with one of the teams that's probably top dog in the league right now in Inter Miami coming into Charlotte soon.
Yeah, speaking of Inter Miami, what do we make of their win against DC United? Another sold-out stadium for, these teams. Messi's in town. They booked the biggest stadiums they can find. They played a Baltimore Ravens stadium. Another great performance, another goal. What do you guys make of it, and what do you think of the game for the weekend?
It'll definitely be interesting given the fact that the upper bowl is not open due to construction here in Charlotte. So we'll definitely be packed out. It may be a situation where and we see a little more pink jerseys than we saw green. But also, speaking of visiting teams coming to Charlotte, did you guys see the news about the Pollo Verde not being allowed into the stadium? Do you guys know about that? No? All right, we got to scratch that. So like,
explain it to us. Talk about it. Go for it, Emmanuel.
Anyway, so like Pollo Verde is like Austin FC fan base that they'll bring it into the stadium. It's those like chickens you just like squeeze.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like Charlotte FC banned it. Yeah, the rubber chickens, I guess. And it was just really funny.
Thank God, they're so annoying.
They are. So like that's basically what Charlotte FC was saying. That's why they banned it due to disturbance of like fans who may not really be in the supporter section. So yeah, it was really funny seeing Austin TV and the guys from Top 90 just going at it. It's a funny thing. I'll have to show you guys later. But yeah.
Roll the clip.
And since we're speaking on like games that are coming up this weekend, MLS picks are coming up. We do this every week at the end of every episode. Before we end it though, we jinx Rodrigo and Neymar's going to the World Cup.
Well, don't get too excited. It says that Neymar is going to be called up for the 2 games in March.
That sounds to me like he's going to the World Cup.
Well, we'll see. I'm hoping you are hoping he's not, but I'm hoping he is because that's just based on everything that's been spoken about.
Yeah.
You jinxed Rodrigo, and then you still don't want to bring Neymar, and now you're upset in our group chat because Neymar's being called up. I don't know if you have some personal vendetta against the guy.
Said about it, bruh.
That's just how it feels, man.
I guess we'll have to leak.
Ryan, can you support me here? Isn't he like really upset at the possibility of Neymar going to the World Cup for some reason. It shouldn't like bother him so much.
I'm gonna make the argument that Emmanuel is trying to either rage bait or clickbait so he can get a response from Neymar to be like, I got a video from Neymar. It's a hate video, but I got one. Like, that's what I imagine right now in my head, that like it's rage bait, it's clickbait, it's all coming from the internet just to fish for a video. And honestly, if you get it, I'd love to see it.
Bro, I don't think he's gonna see it, but definitely not rage baiting. It's just my honest opinion. I mean, I'm glad he's being called up. I mean, I do still think he maybe is not the healthiest player that should be called up, but it'll still be good to see him. Like you were saying, I think a couple episodes back, the leadership that he brings to the team, the experience he can share with the players who may not have been part of like a workout process in the past. That should help the team, even if he doesn't make it to the final, list for the World Cup.
So, speaking of Brazilian football, since I know you love Brazilian football and Neymar, what do you guys make of the little fight that
The Royal Rumble.
the Royal Rumble in the Brazilian league? What do you think, Ryan? Is that some stuff that maybe you could see more in hockey than in soccer? So, did you like it?
I mean, if you want to, I can go on a big tangent here, but I won't.
Don't do that.
Especially pertaining
Really,
to
Ryan?
your now
Really?
Atlantic Division leading Buffalo Sabres. But I could go on a massive tangent here, especially for your now Atlantic leading Buffalo Sabres. But this is a thing that I feel like doesn't really happen as much in soccer of all things. I think it's just part of the culture of the sport is some of these what's referred to as a bench clearing brawl, right? Or one of these major incidents that just happens on the field. Soccer just doesn't really have it as much. And I think it's super unusual in the sport of soccer. But when you put in the context that it's from Brazil and the Brazilian league, I could argue it's not that crazy because of just the way that the soccer culture is over there and how hard, how passionate they go. I feel like we've seen this in other leagues internationally here and there, but I'm not surprised it's happened in Brazil. But I am a little, these incidents don't come very often. And the craziest part is the fact that the cops had to get called. They had to bring in law enforcement. That's the craziest part
I
to
don't
me.
think that's
because it got
crazy.
so
I
bad.
think that's normal, but there's a reason why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu UFC fighters are successful. And we saw it on the pitch. We saw it, and
Wait, how did we get here? I'm very confused. So how did we end up talking about Brazilian jiu-jitsu
did you
fighters?
see the flying kick to the coach? Did you not see that? We'll have to roll the clip.
My favorite is the coach that is like, stop the fight. And then a player passed by and just kicks him, Like, I think that's the best one.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat style. Like when you jump and like you hit the kick and it's like, yeah. So I mean, we've seen it, but I mean, it's still a sad situation, But again, like you said, it's not surprising. Passionate fan base, passionate players. So I mean, 23 red cards later, we're talking about this.
I
Who
mean,
won the game though?
I have no idea. That's the point. I think, jokes aside, it's just completely unacceptable. And people need to keep their cool. Like, we've talked about high tension of the game and, how passionate people are. But I think it's unacceptable for the sport to allow it. I hope that the sanctions are big and, they make a case out of it as well, because that's just craziness.
It is.
Soccer's not that important. Soccer's just not that important.
It's not that deep.
As much as we love it, it should never go there, because it's something that people should enjoy and be proud of and, bring them joy. And sometimes get a little upset when you lose, but definitely not that kind of rage.
Yeah, of course. Sad situation. Again, we keep talking about this every week, man. We have like something crazy happen. It's like they know we started a podcast and we need material.
Is that what happened? They were like, let's do this for Football Magazine podcast. Okay. Yeah, I guess
Dude,
that's what happened.
every week there's a scandal. But yeah, no. MLS picks. Let's move on. And then we got our boy over here. We got Jordan. He's gonna call out the teams and we're just gonna pick. This is not betting, by the way, guys.
What a
Just taking
segue.
educated guesses.
right. So the first matchup was Charlotte FC versus Inter Miami.
Who are you asking?
We should go and like do it one question, then
We all answer.
Yeah, I think I'll
Okay, let's do that.
Can you hear it, Ryan? His when
Loud
Jordan
and
speaking?
clear.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
Inter Miami.
I'm gonna say Charlotte.
I'm gonna go with Inter Miami.
You know, I hate being this guy, but I'm gonna do it again. We're gonna have another draw, boys.
All right. Columbus versus Nashville.
Columbus.
I'll go with Columbus as well.
Whoa, we changed.
Columbus versus Nashville.
I know, it wasn't expecting because it wasn't on the list.
Oh yeah. Curveball here, puppy.
Thanks. I love the form of Nashville right now.
Nashville. You said Nashville. All right. San Jose versus.
Seattle.
I'll go with San Jose. My good friend Ian Harks. Great start of the season for San Jose. Hopefully they keep it going. San Jose versus Seattle.
Do I dare say draw again? Nah, I'm gonna go with the Sounders on this one.
Okay, good. I was about to say covering Americans. They got Red Bulls.
Toronto. They got the first win of the season this week, and again, have a couple friends on that team. So hopefully they can get a win in their home opener at the BMO field.
It's Toronto Red Bulls, right?
Yes, sir.
Something about the aura behind the Red Bulls just keeps sucking me in, and I'm gonna ride that wave. New York.
All right, and then lastly, we've got New York FC versus Colorado Rapids. New York FC at home.
Yeah, I think so too.
New York FC against Colorado.
I mean, NYC just put up 5, right, in their last game, so we'll keep that train rolling.
Yeah, and I guess we'll start keeping up with who said what, and just put it in the comments.
Let us know what you think, guys.
How about this? Whoever has the least correct has to give a $50 gift card to somebody in the comments.
I am totally for it.
I didn't consent to this.
He didn't consent. Wait,
I didn't consent to
You
this.
can't do this, John.
Does that also constitute as gambling? Is that going to give you
Oh,
a suspension by the USL?
It's like a fine line, guys. It's a very fine line between what we do
We're
and
walking
gambling.
it.
We could always go old school gym route and just say loser has to give 100 push-ups. Just
There
straight
we go. Loser has to do 100 push-ups.
on film, straight. You can take breaks if you want, but it has to be one sitting. You can have breaks, but it has to be one sitting.
Oh my god! And we have to post it. All right, guys.
Fair.
Well,
If it's a manual, it's gonna be a very long video. It's gonna be sitting there for a couple hours.
you guys don't know this, but this episode had a lot of edits. We had way too much fun, so I mean, we're gonna leave some of them in, but catch us on the next one.
Peace.